Good evening. Now call the meeting to order. Regular town board meeting for the town of Arundecoit, October 15th, 2018. Visitors are invited to join board members in rising to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Hush-LaRae.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Seeley.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm putting my town pin on because I forgot to put it on. We can't start until I have my pin on. And it's on. Welcome, everyone. We have a modest agenda. We have a lot of pre-agenda items tonight that are very special. We're looking forward to. I'll note that there is one public hearing tonight regarding a proposed special use permit of a business up on Hudson Avenue, excuse me. We will do that at 7:35. Public input, as always, will commence after our pre-meeting activities. If you have anything you want to address the board, I invite you to sign up. We certainly will call on anyone else interested to speak to the board as well. But we'll do the public hearing at 7:35. Any other topics of public input? Before we get to our pre-meeting activities, just a few notes. Today we were excited as the first columns of steel were erected at our future DPW facility. This was after about 5 months of really intensive site work to get the site ready. Most of the underground utilities are in, and residents will start to see that frame of the building go up relatively quickly. There already was a large part of what will comprise the mechanics garage was put up today, so it's exciting to see that come out of the ground, especially after all we've been through the past 18, 19 months. Last week, I presented to the board and community the tentative 2019 budget for the town. The spending plan stays well beneath the state property tax cap. The general fund general fund growth is beneath the rate of inflation, as is the tax levy increase. That will allow us to lower the tax rate 48 cents per 1,000 of assessed value, largely due to the town reassessment. I'm also proud that in reining in the fiscal spending, we're also making sound investments. We are in many ways doubling our paving budget relative to just a few years ago. We'll do over $1 million worth of paving next year. We're going to invest in a tree program to really get to the growing number of dying trees in the public right-of-way, which we're getting more calls about, so we want to be responsive to. And I'm happy that we're expanding our recreation program. We're going to add a playground location for our already successful free summer playground program. So I invite residents. The budget is up on the town website starting tomorrow, and Thursday the board members will join me for an extensive workshop with our department heads, where we will look through every line item of the budget. That will be followed by the adoption of what's known as the preliminary budget for public review. A public hearing will take place in November, and ultimate adoption will be in mid to late November. The Arundecoit Police Department, led by Chief Tantillo and members of the police department, we're always proud to support victims of domestic violence, especially during October, which generally is regarded as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Earlier this month, we held our annual vigil for victims of domestic violence. Also, Chief Tantillo renewed his annual ritual of participating in the annual Willow Domestic Center Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, donning his purple Jaja shoes that he wore. But it's for a good cause. It raises money and awareness for victims of domestic violence and their families. And I also note that Chief won a friendly competition with some of his cohorts in law enforcement leadership in raising money. So kudos to you, Chief, the rest of the department, and the community. For those of you in need of services, we always encourage folks to call Willow Domestic Violence Center. They're a terrific organization. The hotline is 222-SAFE. So if you ever have a need, call them. They are ready to help. Tuesday, October 9th marked the start of our annual deer management program, Bow Hunt in Arundecoit. Since the late 90s, this program, done in conjunction with the New York State DEC, has served as an effective tool to manage Arundecoit's urban deer population. We are unique in that regard. We are one of the few communities that says we have an urban deer population. The police department, as always, does a great job administering the program. The bow hunt, I'll note, only takes place on properties that have consented to allowing bow hunting on the premises and must pass certain requirements relative to proximity to residents and roadways that are prescribed in our town code. Prior to be accepted as a hunting site, the IPD conducts a site visit to ensure safety and compatibility with the code. Only hunters who are authorized to participate in the program and who have passed a stringent proficiency test are eligible to take part. I'll note the bow hunt only takes place on school days and does not occur if either district is off for the day, and hunting is only occurs until noon. And generally, it will run in through the second week of December, unless deemed necessary to end it sooner at the discretion of the board. A full listing of the properties is available at the police department's website on arundecoit.org. You might notice I'm adorning some extra facial hair this month. I'm getting a head start on No Shave November. We're going to partner with our police department and our town organization to help raise awareness by not shaving in November. We're doing this in conjunction with 1330 Cancer Connect, which is a real terrific organization that works with adolescents and young adults living with cancer as well as their families. We're excited about that. Chief Tantillo is going to temporarily amend the general order for the police department. I hope I just didn't blow the announcement, Chief, but effective November, to allow our police officers to have appropriate facial hair, extra beyond, I think, the traditional mustache. And I think the women of town government are also going to participate in some creative ways as well. So look for that won't involve facial hair, unfortunately, but we're going to, at the end of the day, we're excited about having broad participation, not just in the police department, but I know DPW, I know Commissioner Kiley, Deputy Commissioner Sinton, and Human Resource Director Vanette already are getting a head start on this, and I can't wait to see what John Perticone can grow. That's it? Okay. A friendly reminder that town offices will be closed Monday, November 12th in recognition of Veterans Day. On the 11th, which is Veterans Day, will be our annual ceremony on the Town Hall campus. And I'll note, this is the last week of our farmers market for this year. We had record attendance. We do keep track of attendance, and we actually had a week to spare in breaking it, so we're very thrilled about another successful year of farmers market. I make note of that because at every workshop meeting, which precedes our town board meeting, we recognize a member of our town staff with our staff spotlight. This month, it wasn't necessarily a staff member, but our longtime volunteer, I'll note, volunteer being the operative word, director of our farmers market, Donna Pecora. We awarded her the staff spotlight. She's been doing this on a volunteer basis for 10 years. She really is the heart and soul of the market, so we were very happy to give her the recognition she deserved. So kudos to you, Donna, and we never take for granted the service you provide to our community. With that, I'm going to invite the board members to join me at the dais. We have 3 proclamations, which we will recognize and distribute, and then Chief Tantillo will temporarily take over as Master of Ceremonies for some police recognition awards. So board members, please join me at the dais. So we've made a good habit out of signing and passing proclamations to provide recognition and awareness to a variety of causes in town. And what I like doing about this is even though we'll recognize Domestic Violence Month and other large, I think other events that I think warrant constant recognition. Often we'll have residents approach us about causes that are near and dear to their heart, and that which they have invested time and energy towards bringing awareness and raising funds and providing support towards. And it really does, it's a variety of spectrums, but they all are unique and I think really point to the willingness of people to do good and invest time towards helping others. So we have three proclamations this month. First, I'd like to invite Stephanie Alamo to join me at the podium. Stephanie, how are you? Good. Stephanie and her husband Jesse are lifelong residents of Irondequoit. Tragically, about 18 months ago, Stephanie and Jesse lost their daughter, Darcy, to stillbirth. With that, I presume grief, they tried to make good out of it. They started an organization or cause known as the Darcy Project. In memory of Darcy, they hold an annual walk, which was actually held this past Sunday, I believe, to help other families dealing with similar grief and honor the children who we've lost. Stephanie approached me about recognizing this week in October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day in memory and support of the 1 in 4 women who deal with pregnancy and infant loss. Our goal, and our board is happy to support this, is to make those who have experienced this loss not feel as they are alone and they can grieve with others in the community and find support. So I'm just going to read a truncated version of the proclamation. Whereas far too many families and communities like Irondequoit throughout America grieve for the loss of pregnancy and infant loss in silence, often never coming to terms with their loss. And whereas after suffering the loss of their daughter Darcy to stillbirth, Irondequoit residents Jesse and Stephanie Alamo formed the Darcy Project, a cause dedicated to ensuring that those who have experienced a pregnancy or infant loss know that they are not alone. And whereas the Darcy Project provides bookmarks and inspirational cards free of charge to mail to those who have experienced a pregnancy or infant loss, or we have family and friends who have endured such a tragedy. Therefore, let it be resolved that we, David A. Seeley, and the town board, on behalf of the entire town of Irondequoit, join the Darcy Project to proclaim the week of October 15, 2018, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Week in Irondequoit, and offer our support in raising awareness about this devastating subject. So, Stephanie, thank you for being here. Please give her a round of applause.
Won't be too long. Yeah, it's exactly what Mr. Seeley said, just the importance of parents being able to talk to other parents who have gone through the loss of a child, whether it's at 10 weeks or I have some friends who lost at 2 weeks before their due date. So just bringing awareness to it and knowing that other families are around you that want to give you support and being there for family members who you might not know what to say, but just letting them know that you're there for them and letting those people know that you're there and can support them, that they should also reach out. And there are a lot of support groups such as Face to Face in Rochester, and there's a lot of grief counselors around that can handle that type of thing. So just raising awareness to it and letting families know that they're not alone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. We really appreciate you being here. Next, I'd like to ask Allison Tuff and perhaps her 2 children to join us up here if they're willing. Oh, we have the videographer. Okay, I got you. Allison is she's kind of a quasi-member of our town organization. She's involved in so many different areas in town, in addition to being a mother and heading a terrific family. She approached me about recognizing the month of October, the month of October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. Allison started a group on Facebook called Parent Advocates for Children with Dyslexia, and they have, I believe, created a display in the library or in the process of doing so. It's there, so please go check it out. Ultimately, as with the causes like this, the goal is to create awareness and support for those living with learning-based disabilities and their families. So in the truncated form, I'll just read the proclamation, then have Allison say a few words. Whereas a great society is only as great as those organizations that perform exemplary service on behalf of their community, and whereas dyslexia is a neurological condition caused by a different wiring within one's brain that impacts the manner in which they process information, making it more difficult to read. Whereas there is no known cure for dyslexia, however, special education opportunities, including highly trained teachers, individualized instruction, and multisensory learning programs, are critical to a dyslexic person's future success and ability to develop effective coping strategies. And whereas research indicates there is no proven correlation between dyslexia and intelligence, and many people living with dyslexia have gone on to accomplish great achievements in our society, Now therefore be it resolved that we, David A. Seeley, Supervisor of the Town of Arundecoit, and the Town Board on behalf of the entire Town of Arundecoit, do hereby proclaim October 2018 to be Dyslexia Awareness Month in Arundecoit and offer our support in raising awareness about the benefits of early identification and effective teaching for all living with dyslexia. So declared on this day, the 16th of October 2018. So please give Allison a round of applause.
Okay, bear with me. I have a few things I just wanted to say. As this is my son Andrew, and he's 8 years old. We have 5 children, and our family kind of represents the prevalence of dyslexia. So just kind of keep that in mind, the 5 children that we have. A lot of people know that autism affects about 1 in 60 children, which is actually less than 2% of the population. But what you may not know is dyslexia affects 1 in every 5 children. So our family is a perfect representation of that right now, although we have 3 younger children who knows what will happen with that. But that's 20% of this town has known or undiagnosed dyslexia. That means every classroom from kindergarten to 12th grade has at least 1 and sometimes up to 4 students in the classroom that have dyslexia. That's a lot of kids. Many of these kids are not diagnosed or aren't diagnosed early enough. These are students with average or above average, sometimes even genius IQs, who become marginalized and denied their potential if they're not assessed, diagnosed, and supported early and appropriately. These kids have so many strengths and so much potential if supported appropriately and can be highly successful. But too often, these kids become disheartened about school, disengaged, stressed, and have poor self-esteem. My hope is to increase awareness of the prevalence of dyslexia in our town and to advocate for change for our kids so they can feel more confident and be able to reach their potential in school and in life. As Mr. Seeley has mentioned, there's a display up in the children's library section. You don't see it as you walk into the children's section, you see it as you walk out. It's against the glass entryway there. And it's just a chance for you to learn a little bit more about dyslexia, what it is, how it affects learning in other areas of life, and how to best support our kids in the classroom. I also did start a local parent support group called Parent Advocates for Students with Dyslexia, Dysgraphia, and Dyscalculia, which the second 2 are kind of under the same umbrella with dyslexia. So if you know anyone or if you yourself have dyslexia or know someone with a child with dyslexia, please reach out to me and I can connect you to this group. Like I said, our goal is to try to increase awareness and to get better supports and education, instruction more appropriate for our kids in our area. So thank you to Mr. Seeley and to the town for recognizing this, and I just hope you join me in trying to get more supports for our kids. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
All right. Our final proclamation, I'm looking for any friends of the library. Do we have? Okay. Nevertheless, we annually do a proclamation recognizing the last full week of October as Friends of Libraries Week. We're blessed in Arundecoit to have our Friends of the Library, who I always call the heart and soul and the grassroots support of our library. They do a lot of fundraising that supports essential programs and training for our staff. And I don't know what we would be without them in town. So if they're watching, we very much appreciate the work our friends do. Happy to again advance this proclamation and thank the friends and congratulate them on October 21st through the 27th, 2018, being Friends of the Library Week. With that, I'm going to invite Chief Tantillo up to temporarily take over as Master of Ceremonies. If anyone here is interested in the public hearing, we might start a minute or 2 early. We might start 1 or 2 minutes late. I said early, didn't I? If anything, we'll start a little late on the public hearing, but I will now turn it over to Chief. Chief.
Well, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and I hope that your healing process works well. We have a rematch of a teacher police officer basketball game, February 2nd, 2019. And we need your talent there. Without any further ado, we'd like to recognize some individuals tonight. Our first one is in regards to a retired officer, and I'll give you the backstory on this momentarily, but if I could have retired officer Tom DeFonte come forward with investigator Anthony DeFonte and some of Tom's family members, Mr. and Mrs. DeFonte, the parents, longtime residents of Arundequoit, and anybody else that you folks would like to have come up here. I know some of them might be a little shy, but you can decide that. Come on, there you go. So the DeFonte family, as Mr. and Mrs. DeFonte, had 3 sons that all became police officers, and 2 of them worked in the town of Arundequoit. One of them got away from us. But in several years ago, Officer DeFonte was injured in the line of duty, and he was out of work and unfortunately wasn't able to return and had to retire. And this recognition of his service to this community should have been done a long time ago, and for that I apologize, Tom. But it's never too late to do the right thing. So if I may, Tom was a highly decorated police officer that was dedicated and committed to the service to this community, and he did an exceptional job. I had the pleasure of working with Tom for a period of time on the 3rd platoon, which is the afternoon shift. Tom always treated people with dignity and respect and exemplified the core values of Arundequoit and the police department. He worked to keep our neighborhood safe in all aspects of his duties. As I went through his personnel file, I noted a number of letters and commendations, and they were all good, Tom. And I see that retired Sergeant Susan Erblin is here, and on several occasions, Tom was recognized for his heroic acts, the exceptional arrests that he made in regards to, if you will, illegal and drug-related activities. But he also was recognized for rendering life-saving first aid, CPR, treating people with kindness and compassion during a motor vehicle accident. So he was really a well-rounded, exceptional member of this organization, and we truly miss the work that he did. He served as an exceptional role model for younger officers. He took the time to train, explain, and teach. He shared his skills and was always there to assist other people. Although he no longer serves in that capacity, those of us that had the privilege and honor to work with him really try to emulate the example that he set for so many of us, whether we were older or younger. And it's our pleasure and honor to present this plaque to you, Tom, in recognition of your service, dedication, and commitment to law enforcement and to this community. Congratulations. You got to put the phone down.
Yeah, well, this is my teleprompter tonight. Can you guys, if you guys can hear me? I just want to thank Chief Tantello, Sergeant Franco, my mother and father, Dominic and Marlise DeFonte, my brother David, my nephew John, and both of them for flying in from Alabama, my sister Kathy, Tommy's wife Amy, and his children, Mitchie and Marlena, my kids Nicholas and Gianna, also Nina for being here as well, Carmen Pellegrino from RPD, the town board, retirees, Sue Erblin, thank you, and the active duty personnel here tonight for their assistance in helping make this possible. I also want to personally thank my brother Tommy for being here. Oh my God, excuse me. I also want to personally thank him for being here tonight. Tonight, many of us are here obviously to celebrate the career of a great man, a great friend, husband, father, uncle, son, and for me, most importantly, my brother. For many years, Tom dedicated his life to service of others, never looking for anything in return. Several years ago, Tommy retired quietly after multiple surgeries to his right arm, sustained as we both fought a suspect following a traffic stop. There was no fanfare, or a big celebration. Just a great group of friends and family gathered to say goodbye. A few months back, I was talking with my brother David, who had recently retired from RPD, and David received his well-deserved awards from the city of Rochester and a nice shadow box. And we said, it's a shame that Tommy never got his. But this is all going to change tonight. You see, we wanted to make this a surprise tonight because Tom wouldn't have wanted anyone to go out of their way to make a big deal over him. Tommy never sought out recognition and always believed his service to the community was measured by how many lives he could change and how many people he could help and befriend along the way. When a person said, "Thank you for helping me," that was all the recognition that Tommy ever needed. I've witnessed firsthand his dedication and compassion for others, spending the extra time with the citizens most in need of his help. The young men and women, if they were young and committed crimes, small crimes, he would spend the time to talk with them and try to make a difference in their lives so that they wouldn't offend again. To the elderly and the vulnerable who were afraid because they heard a noise at night or were alone or just needed someone to talk to, Tom would spend the time just to listen or to obtain the resources they so desperately needed. To the suspects who preyed upon the innocent, he was their worst nightmare. Seriously, though, he was bad. His relentless pursuit of individuals who hurt or victimize innocent children, adults, or senior citizens in the community was second to none. One good job at a time. Help as many people as you can along the way, and just maybe you'll change a person for the better. This was how I believe Tom measured his dedication to his profession. I want to thank Tommy for being here, not just for me, but for the families and all the men and women who served with him. Whenever I or anyone needed help, he was always there. Through the best of times and the worst of times, we could always count on him for help, guidance, or just a great laugh during a cup of joe on a long tour. Those are the things I miss most about working with Tom. His work ethic and ability to analyze critical situations was amazing, and believe me, we had been through several critical and dangerous situations together. Tom had this natural ability of calming situations down. I can recall times when he could literally, at my wit's end, or sitting there at my wit's end, dealing with someone or something. And from out of nowhere, you hear Tom's old trademark, "What's going on?" And for some reason, just hearing him, I knew that it wasn't as bad as it was made out to be. There was help, and he was on the way, and he wouldn't leave you until you were all set. I can't think of one time during those years where I didn't believe Tom had our backs. He was not only my brother, the brother of so many of us. Someone we could always count on to be there when we needed him the most. He was truly a cop's cop. After an arrest, Tom would always maintain his professional demeanor and built rapport with the suspects in order to obtain confessions. He was meticulous in his writing and organizational skills, which prepared him for his impeccable court testimony. Tom mentored not only myself, but those who asked him to share his experiences and knowledge of the job. In fact, knowledge of the penal law and the CPL, his knowledge of that was absolutely amazing, and it reflected highly in how quickly after his retirement he was asked to run for judge in the town of Clarington. The town made the right choice, and Tom is still serving currently on the bench. Tommy came on the job a year ahead of me, and through his experience and natural ability to deal with people, he helped me become a better officer. We worked together in the Goodman section, Clinton section, and the YSS gang unit in the city of Rochester. We both later lateraled from the city to serve citizens of Irondequoit. Thank you, Tom, for your help, friendship, and support, even when the day was long and all we wanted to do was head home, or back in the day, stop at Pasta Villa to see Jesse or Gino. Most importantly, thank you, Tom, for helping me and so many others through the years. You exceeded your measurements of success by miles and miles. You didn't ask for this recognition, Tom, but we all believe you deserve it. Sorry it took so long, but as Sue knows, the bridge was up. Congratulations, Tom, on a job well done. All right, you're welcome, buddy.
Wow, that's beautiful. Look at that. So do I have to say so?
Yeah, yeah. Tom, this is where you can tell him how many times you hit your brother's bike on him.
Well, I will make this as short as I can. I'm speechless. I had no idea that this was coming. From what I understood, it was something involving my father for getting a license plate number off of a car or something, and I had to be here so that he could get his award. And I never knew that this was going to be this. So I am totally speechless. But for all the guys standing in blue in the back, I've worked with every one of them. And ladies, you guys were phenomenal. I loved every second of working with you guys, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. It's an awesome job. That's family number 2. This is family number 1. And, you know, Sue was my boss for a long time. I loved working for Sue. We had a lot of great times together. She was a fantastic boss. So was the chief. And we had a lot of laughs. Sometimes, you know, you would add some tears in there if you had to, but usually we just suck it up and move along. That's our job. So I thank everybody here. Thank you for coming. I thank my brother David for flying all the way up from Alabama. He had to take a boat to the airport. Got there, jumped on a plane, and made his way here, and it's great. Thanks to my other family members for coming up, and my niece all the way from Batavia came out, my cousin John, or my nephew John. All the way from Alabama also. But thank everybody very much, and thank you, Chief, for your kind words. I appreciate it again. Thank you.
Congratulations. You want to do the first one? You want me to do it? Yeah.
All right. I'm going to call some officers up here if they are here. Sergeant Chmang, officers Kyle Fallon, Joseph Shevlin, Richard Luby, Kelly Kreiser, Chris Soprano, and Jeff Colgrove. This is for a platoon commendation award. The chief was going to do this, but then gave it to me. I already practiced my other one over here. No, I already practiced my other one, but so be it known that the platoon commendation is awarded to any officer who performs an exemplary achievement, act, or service to the Irondequoit Police Department, performed in a manner substantially beyond normal expectations in similar circumstances. On September 10th, 2018, 3rd Platoon officers responded to an address in St. Paul Boulevard for the report of a suicidal male who was intoxicated and possibly armed with a gun. Sergeant Chmang, police officers Kyle Fallon, Joseph Shevlin, Richard Luby, Kelly Kreiser, Chris Soprano, and Jeff Colgrove responded promptly to the scene. They established a perimeter and diverted vehicular traffic away from the location. After numerous unsuccessful attempts, telephonic contact was established with the male. Officer Joseph Shevlin spoke to the male and built a rapport with him, eventually persuading him to exit the house unarmed. The male was taken into custody and transported to a local hospital for evaluation. All personnel involved communicated clearly and worked efficiently to establish and carry out a plan to defuse a tense situation and bring it to a peaceful conclusion. Therefore, this platoon commendation is issued to Sergeant Chmang, Officers Fallon, Shevlin, Luby, Kreiser, Soprano, and Colgrove. So,
So in order to be even, I'll take the one that you practiced, all right?
Okay, that sounds
Okay, does
good.
that work for you now? All right. Oh, my goodness. If I could have Sergeant Tremang, Officer Jeffrey Colgrove, Officer David Gramlich, Officer Kelly Kreiser, Officer Jason Murphy, Officer Brandon Sally, and Officer Christopher Soprano come forward. So it's the Colgrove, Kreiser, and Soprano show tonight. This is in regards to the Distinguished Service Award, which may be presented to any officer who intelligently and in the line of duty distinguishes himself in the performance of an act of courage involving risk of imminent, serious personal injury for the purpose of saving or protecting human life. On July 25th, 2018, at about 8 p.m., these officers responded to the Shire at Culver Nursing Home for a working fire. There was heavy smoke coming from a second-floor apartment. The officers were on scene before any fire personnel arrived, and they all entered the building to assist with the evacuation of the residents, many of whom are elderly and vulnerable. The officers did a systematic search of the apartments and assisted residents in the evacuation. Due to the physical limitations, some of the residents had to be carried down the stairs by the officers. Upon the arrival of fire personnel, the officers continued to assist the residents and keep them away from the building until RTS buses arrived for use as temporary accommodations and warming stations. Once the fire was extinguished and the building was deemed safe, the officers assisted the residents in re-entering the building. Due to the courage, bravery, and professionalism displayed by the involved personnel regarding a risk of imminent serious personal injury for the purpose of saving and protecting human lives, it's our honor tonight to present the Distinguished Service Award to Sergeant Tremang, Officers Colgrove, Gramlich, Kreiser, Murphy, Sally, and Soprano. Congratulations, job well done.
Can I have Investigator Wigton and Officer Hughes come forward? This is for the Officer of the Month Award. The Officer of the Month Award may be granted to an officer who performs outstanding acts which benefit the police department and the community during a one-month period. On August 7th, 2018, about 10:45 a.m., a purse-snatching robbery occurred in the parking lot of a shopping plaza on Titus Ave. The suspect was described as a white male driving a green sedan. Later that day, at about 2:14 p.m., a second purse-snatching robbery was reported in the same parking lot. The suspect and vehicle description were the same, only this time a partial license plate number was obtained. Investigator Andrew Wigton and Officer Jason Hughes responded and obtained video footage of the suspect vehicle. Through databases and searches, they were able to identify the vehicle and determine a possible suspect, who was the boyfriend of the vehicle owner. Investigator Wigton and Officer Hughes did locate the suspect vehicle and apprehended the suspect inside the vehicle. The suspect did make admissions at the scene and later gave a confession. The confession led to the subsequent recovery of the victim's property. The suspect was charged with 2 counts of robbery and grand larceny. Investigator Wigton and Officer Hughes' efficiency and professionalism and performance brought closure to the victims and may make them worthy of Officer of the Month Award. Congratulations.
Stage left, stage right. Officer Kylie Nichols was on the agenda for an award, but unfortunately she had another plan. She just recently had a baby. We wish her well. Officer Christopher Soprano, please come forward. gonna have to put an addition on your house. Officer of the Month award is granted to an officer who performs outstanding acts which benefit the police department and the community during a 1-month period. In April, Officer Christopher Soprano was temporarily assigned to the Criminal Investigations Unit. Officer Soprano became involved in a domestic assault investigation, and despite the lack of cooperation from the victim, he was able to obtain enough circumstantial evidence to bring charges against the suspect. Several days later, Officer Soprano assisted in the investigation of shots being fired at the domestic assault victim's home. Just prior to this report, there was also a report of shots fired from the suspect's house in the city of Rochester. Officer Soprano interviewed witnesses at both scenes and began tracking the suspect's activities through electronic device mapping. For several weeks, Officer Soprano worked numerous leads in this investigation. He spent hours reviewing the suspect's telephone and electronic messaging history. Ultimately, he was able to come up with sufficient circumstantial evidence to bring charges against the suspect for reckless endangerment, criminal contempt, and aggravated family offenses. And as we celebrate Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I think it's critical to demonstrate that sometimes the victims are fearful of moving forward. And Officer Soprano and other officers in our agency continually advocate for the victims. As a result of your persistent and investigative skills, we want to recognize you as Officer of the Month for April 2018.
All right, and last, Sergeant Frankel. Come forward. The Excellent Police Service Award may be presented to an officer who has received 3 letters of recognition within 1 calendar year. The major accomplishment was achieved by Sergeant Frankel. On February 5th, 2018, Sergeant Frankel was recognized for participation in a charity basketball game between the Irondequoit Police Department and the East Irondequoit Teachers Association. We didn't mention my 4-pointer. Okay.
Next year.
All right. The proceeds from this event benefited the Irondequoit Food Cupboard. On March 19th, 2018, Sergeant Frankel was recognized for her participation in the Special Olympics fundraiser at Applebee's. Officers at this event worked closely with the Special Olympians, and the funds raised were dedicated for future Special Olympic athlete events. And on August 31st, 2018, Sergeant Frankel was recognized for volunteering her time to work at the Michael Coyle Memorial Family Run and Walk. The proceeds from this event go directly towards a higher education fund established for the Coyle children who reside in Irondequoit. These accomplishments are reflective of Sergeant Frankel's dedication to both the Irondequoit Police Department and the community in which she serves. Sergeant Frankel is therefore deserving of the Excellent Police Service Award. Congratulations.
I just want to thank the town board for allowing us to hold these award recognitions and ceremonies here before the community, before the town board, and I think it's really important to demonstrate the exceptional work that is done by these police officers that you see here tonight, as well as the rest of the members of the Irondequoit Police Department. So thank you for your time.
Good. So we're a little behind schedule on our agenda. I want to get to the public hearing as soon as possible. People are being very quiet and respectful, and leaving, I just ask if you are congregating and hugging, perhaps it's a nice night outside. The noise does carry, and we want to make sure the board can hear folks testifying at the public hearing. So thank you in advance. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call up the first public hearing, the only public hearing?
Public hearing number 1 on the matter of granting a special use permit for 1661 Hudson Avenue in a C business district.
Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, explanation of the proposed, the application for special use permit.
Thank you, Supervisor. This,
Can I, pardon? We have to get to the public hearing first. After the public hearing, we'll go right to public input. I promise you. Thank you, Ms. Ivers.
Thank you, Supervisor. The special use permit before the town board tonight is associated with a new business proposed at that location. It would be a combination of a auto repair shop along with some ancillary used car sales. This is similar, but a little bit of a difference of the previous two special use permits issued at the same location. However, because it is a bit of a change or a combination, a special use application does need to be issued for the business in order for it to be opened. This did already receive planning board approval for site plan. And so this is really just the step of making sure the use is appropriate. And I'll remind the board, when we discussed at workshop, that the last use was used car sales, and the previous use before that was auto repair. So this is reflecting actually just a combination.
Understood. Is the applicant here tonight?
You know, I don't, oh, there we are.
Okay.
Sorry.
Would you just mind coming forward just to give a brief, very brief, just expanding on what Ms. Ivers might have said, and please just state your name and relationship to the application, please.
My name's Terry Shannon. I actually am a representative of Sage Baby, and his architect are both out of the country. But I do have a good understanding of it. I guess we do have some conditions that we have to meet in terms of getting this granted. I think the applicant has agreed to abide by those conditions. If our planning director could maybe highlight what those conditions are. The applicant is very willing to do what those conditions spell out.
It was discussed last month, but Carrie, if you have bulleted it out.
So I don't have it before me, or the notes from the planning board meeting. I certainly can give it a brief overview just based on memory. The planning board identified the striping to be provided to complete or continue a fence along the northern boundary line. They discussed repairing the existing dumpster enclosure to bring it into compliance. They talked about leaving the parking area closest to Hudson Avenue unpaved to provide the property owner or business owner with some flexibility in the way that they display their vehicles. And then I think that might have been it. There might have been some lighting recommendations as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant from the board? Okay, with that, I think we're good here. We'll ask if any members of the public wanted to speak on this proposed special use permit, and I'll just remind people we're under town code. We're required to hold a public hearing for these, just to inform the board's decision. I don't have anyone signed up. If anyone wishes to speak on this public hearing, going once, going twice, I'll now take a motion to close.
So moved.
In a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll close the public hearing, and Madam Clerk, this will be the first resolutions we go to when we get to our order of business, okay? With that, I will now move to public input. I have several residents signed up for public input. We always ask that you keep your comments between 3 and 5 minutes. Be respectful of others signed up to speak. First up is William Beanie of 291 Rock Beach Road. Sir?
I'm William George Beanie of 291 Rock Beach Road. The topic is town priorities. Mr. Seeley, Mr. Kiley, the trench is not filled in yet. The trench I'm referring to is on town property in front of my mailbox, the box being set 4 inches farther back from the road because the town's snowplow splintered the old post and I had to pay considerable to replace it. The trench is the town's responsibility to fill in and gets deeper by the week, becoming an increasing threat to my personal safety every day I get the mail. Of course, this issue is not a personal matter between the supervisor, myself, and the head of the town DPW. There can be only one answer to the town's ongoing neglect of this responsibility. Arundecoit is in dire need of increased supervision in the field and in the office of town employees to ensure that they carry out the will of management. Until town employees are held accountable for their work through such supervision, no doubt Arundecoit can look forward to continued flat revenue and population loss. Arundecoit can no longer be known for the low-quality work of its employees. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Beanie. Next up, we have Susan Domina. Am I saying that right? Is it Domina? Domina? I think I've said it both ways. My apologies.
No
Just say your name and address for the
Sure.
record.
I'm Susan Domina at 100 Meadowcroft Road, and I'm proud to say that I'm an almost lifetime resident of Arundecoit. I want to thank you for your leadership in passing the community choice aggregation enabling legislation a couple of months ago. So now the next two CCA-related things on which you'll be deciding are the default mix and the CCA administrator. Regarding the default mix, I've heard some of you indicate that the default for CCA should be 100% renewable energy. I applaud that, since it respects Governor Cuomo's intent when he asked the Public Service Commission to come up with ways to make it easier for municipalities to transition off of fossil fuels. Beyond having the default choice be 100% renewables, I would strongly discourage having a second choice within CCA that is not 100% renewables, because people already have such dirty mix choices now, and giving people a cheaper choice for a dirty mix violates the spirit of Governor Cuomo's intent. Regarding the choosing of a CCA administrator, please consider the following things in your request for qualifications. We want an administrator who goes beyond just negotiating a good rate for 100% renewable electricity. We want an administrator who emphasizes comprehensive ongoing education for the community, not just during the required 60 days. An administrator who will serve as a consultant for local renewable energy projects to help you and other town officials evaluate and negotiate energy project proposals and service offerings from developers. And this will provide an additional layer of consumer protection and vetting. We want an administrator who has innovative initiatives to encourage energy efficiency measures, the bulk buying of electric vehicles, etc. An administrator whose initiatives compensate customers for energy efficiency, for willingness to adjust consumption when asked, etc. An administrator who will integrate local renewable energy into the default product as it becomes available. Juul's implementation plan addresses all of the aforementioned items. Pages 20 through 22 if you want to review them. Good Energies does not even mention any of them. So for all of these reasons, I urge you to choose Juul as our CCA administrator. Like you, I want to make the best decision we can regarding CCA, and if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Domina. Next up was Allison Tuff, but I believe she had signed up to receive a proclamation and has since left. Andrea Porter. Ms. Porter, good evening.
Good evening, Andrea Porter of 2674 St. Paul Boulevard. I'm also grateful that our town has passed the community choice aggregation enabling legislation. I'm here today to show my continued interest in it moving forward quickly, if possible, allowing me and many others to use CCA as our default energy source rather than searching out other alternatives. What I know and what I hope for. It seems that Arundequite may be working along with nearby towns. In the reality of today's climate concerns, our Mothers Out Front team hopes that as our town moves CCA forward, you recognize the importance of the agreed-upon resolutions stipulating that our municipalities see CCA as a tool to work towards long-term goals. The first follows the path of our town. We're proud that you've already taken advantage of green initiatives. We must continue to do this to include decreasing reliance on fossil fuels, increasing inclusion of local renewables. The timing seems perfect with the new CCA incentive for local resourcing. The result is the second goal. Local resourcing will lead to an increase of local jobs, which of course benefit our local economy, one that has the potential to continue growing over time. Our Mothers Out Front team has had the amazing opportunity to have local experts to call on and meet with while educating ourselves, our friends, and our town. Experiencing this has opened our eyes to the enormous value of a local presence for the CCA administrator. When our values and geographic locations are shared, both parties benefit from their good leadership. When town leaders and constituents have questions, there's a local contact to get them answered quickly. The decisions being made are the well-being of our shared community. Keeping it local supports jobs, keeps money here to grow our economy. With green initiatives, in the end, it's better for all of us as energy consumers. Thank you for listening to more about CCA.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Heather DeLise? Oh, there she is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Lease. I reside at 122 Bent Oak Trail in Fairport now, 14450. I was a Arundequite resident very recently and for over 6 years. And my kids still ask to keep coming back to see friends and town events. I'm also a proud team coordinator and still an Arundequite Mothers Out Front. My neighbors, friends, and colleagues that I've met here are now an extension of my family. And here tonight, I come with a heavy heart upon the report from the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. We knew we were facing a climate crisis, but to learn that it has gotten so much worse brings tears to my eyes, because we know what's at stake, and that is our well-being and health of our children's future. It's a global crisis, and our nation has the power to change this outcome in a huge way. And I know many people feel that is an impossibility right now under the current national leadership. And one's arms can only reach so far to combat this crisis. But as individual citizens, we can put our arms together with the help of our towns, our cities, and our state to take on climate change. We, as mothers and others, are reaching out to you with our arms wide open and requesting that available board members and town-appointed experts meet with us to talk additionally about research and details that we have discovered that could potentially affect the successfulness of the adoption of the CCA. In particular, to the type of administrator you choose, their plan, the contract, and the board's RFPs. We are well aware the detail are in the devils, and there are far too many details for me to go over tonight. We know that you must spend a lot of time on each agenda board item, and for this we are incredibly grateful, because there are a lot of moving parts to keeping a town moving forward. We've put valuable volunteer hours into this. We are willing, educated, and able to give more volunteer time to you as the board to help gather additional, unbiased information and facts, and to share with you our facts, to make the best decision that will result in our town in moving off fossil fuels and onto renewable energies. We are grateful to have a town board supporting this us and professional experts that are also putting in their time. to do what's best for the health and well-being of the residents and the planet, and not just what's best for business for the sake of saving money or making a buck. We will email you with a follow-up to schedule a meeting, because our common goal is to move us toward 100% locally consumable, renewable energies for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else in the audience wish to address the board?
I would like to call up Megan Sweeney. Will you please grab the t-shirt? We have something to present Dave
Oh,
for,
oh my. What size? Careful what you wish for. Thank you.
thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much. Hey. This might confuse a lot of people, but I'm happy to wear it. Thank you, ladies. With that, I will take a motion to close public hearing. In a second.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is, public input is closed. We will now move on to financial report. Madam Comptroller.
Thank you, Supervisor Seeley. The 2018 financial results as of September 30th. 75% of the year has elapsed, and the town's total expenses are lower than budget at 70.5%, a sum of $24,387,000. Encumbrances are $1,274,000, and actual expenses total $23,112,000. The actual expenses alone equate only to 66.8% of budget. Encumbrances typically remain sizable at this point in the year as departments continue to commit to services, supplies, and commodities for the remainder of the year. The general fund expenses are below budget at 69.4%, $14,394,000. The actual expenditures are 66.2% of budget, $13,719,000. The other 3.3% is due to $675,000 of encumbrances. Overall, the expenses in the highway funds are $4,247,000, 76.1% of budget, slightly above the 75% of the year that has elapsed. The costs result from considerable expenses and encumbrances for gas, fuel, salt, and equipment parts as anticipated. The library expenditures are now level with budget at 74.3%, a year-to-date total of $1,715,000. Expenses in the sewer fund, $2,737,000 are below budget at 66.9%. Stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 46.9% of budget, a total of $370,000. The general fund has received $18,316,000, 90.3% of budget. Real estate tax of $10.8 million has been collected. 102.6% of the payment in lieu of tax revenue of $172,000 is in. The town has recorded 5 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $1,693,000, 39.2% of budget. 100% of per capita state aid of $613,000, 50% or $376,000 of franchise cable TV revenue, and the mortgage tax for the first quarter of $133,000. The recreation program fees of $308,000 are currently favorable to budget at 94.9%. Included in other sources of revenue are 3 significant 2018 one-time revenue items. Medley Center settlement proceeds of $450,000, $218,000 of settlement costs associated with Comida and the Target and Holiday Inn properties, and $1.7 million of insurance recovery for extra expenses incurred by the town's operating departments resulting from the DPW garage fire. Without those one-time revenues, the general fund would be 78.6% of budget, only slightly favorable at this point in time. Regarding the entire town, $30.7 million or 90.2% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been received to date. Without the aforementioned one-time general fund revenue items, the total for the town would be at 83.3% of budget. At month end, the library had confirmed revenue of $2,256,000, 97.7% of that fund's budget, revenue budget. 82.5% or $4,544,000 of revenue has been received by the highway. 100.6% of the sewer fund, $4,092,000 is in. Stormwater drainage has also verified 100.1% of its budgeted revenue, $764,000. Page 3 of this report presents the third quarter year-to-date summary and comparison to the prior 6 years. I will not focus on the 2017 percentages as those results are skewed by fire-related activity. Regarding expenditures by fund, which are shown on the top third of the page, the overall 70.5% of total budget spent and encumbered is slightly higher than the prior years. The middle third of the page contains the pertinent sources of revenue for the general fund, and the bottom third of the page are third quarter revenue comparisons of the other funds. The 2018 general fund revenue reflects 90.3% and is more than it is more than 10% higher than previous years. That increase stems from the one-time revenue sources that I mentioned previously. Medley settlement, Target, Holiday Inn, Comida settlement, and the insurance recovery for extra expenses from the fire. The revenue and appropriated fund balance of the town as a whole is located on the bottom line of the chart and is 90.2%. That percentage is approximately 5% higher than previous years, and it results from the same reasons listed above, the two major settlements and the fire insurance recovery. This concludes my report for the month of September 2018.
Thank you, Annie. Any questions or comments?
No, thank you, Amy.
I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Financial report is accepted. Now move on to approval of minutes.
Approval of minutes, September 11th, 2018, the workshop meeting.
Motion to accept. Moved. In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
September 18, 2018, the regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
October 1, 2018, the special town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
That was Ms. Romeo in a second.
Second.
Mr. Weiner. Questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
An abstention?
Ms. Husselray abstains. Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk will now move to public hearing resolution 1A.
Resolution 1A, pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to operate an automotive repair shop with limited used car sales on premises 1661 Hudson Avenue in a C Business District.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, explanation, please.
The resolution is addressing seeker, as we reviewed it workshop, the seeker analysis yields that there are no moderate or large adverse impacts associated with the action, and therefore recommends a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, 1B, please.
Resolution 1B, on the matter of granting a special use permit to operate an automotive repair shop with limited used car sales on premises 1661 Hudson Avenue in a C Business District.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would approve the proposed special use permit for 1661 Hudson Avenue in a C Business District. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, assessor, please.
Item number 2, authorizing the town assessor to attend a training course.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would authorize the town assessor to attend a 30-hour course scheduled for November 5th to November 9th. It is highly beneficial to her, and I believe the focus of the training is commercial appraisal, although I might be wrong. This was included in the budget for training in the assessor's line. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 3, regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 residential district for property 1862 Hudson Avenue.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Our clerk over there is grimacing because she knows what's before her. We have several, actually more than several, probably a dozen resolutions in the next bunch, all for the same, well, not the same application, but for the same bundle of applications for a cluster of small cell towers that will be affixed to existing, not existing, but will be affixed to, co-located with RG&E utility poles. These were presented to us from a representative from Verizon. It is in accordance and part of a national strategy to build out 4G networks, but primarily looking forward to building out 5G networks in communities like Arundequoit. We have looked at these as one, but looked at each location last month in the public hearing as well, which was held. For all locations, we will be taking up both seeker and a resolution authorizing the cell tower in a separate resolution. With that, I'm going to ask Ms. Ivers to kind of give a global explanation of both seeker and each proposed location, which will be forthcoming in a resolution.
Thank you, Supervisor. So what I'm going to start out, for the purposes of seeker, each location or each application has its own Part 2 and Part 3 seeker analysis, and it looks at the individual location, but it also takes a look at the global or the cumulative impacts potentially associated with this action. So there are 7 microcell locations located in the west portion of the town. In looking at the cumulative impacts, we indicate that the construction impacts are minimal. They can be coordinated in a way to minimize the impacts of lane closures, and it is temporary in nature. And then although the microcells are concentrated in an area, they're interspersed geographically enough to not cause any potential impacts for visual impacts or community character. Then we look at each individual location, and we look at the potential for environmental impacts. And in each of the locations, we've determined that there are no large or moderate adverse impacts associated with these. The microcells are being installed on utility poles that will be located in places where utility poles currently exist. And there are no other environmental impacts that need to be considered or that could be a potential adverse impact. So for the next collection of the 7 microcells for seeker, we're recommending a negative declaration under seeker.
Thank you. And just, this isn't germane just to this resolution, but the next several. The locations are, and they'll be in the title of the resolution, but just to read them now: 1862 Hudson Avenue, 2523 St. Paul Boulevard, 2924 St. Paul Boulevard, 2101 Seneca Avenue, 184 Thorndike, 180 Wimbledon, 11 Daly Boulevard. We had a public hearing, I'm sorry.
And just as a clarification, these are located all in the right-of-way, not on private property, so it's in the right-of-way, near those addresses.
I believe all of these, but a few are county right-of-ways. There's a few town right-of-ways, correct?
Correct.
So a few things, and then certainly if you have questions for Carrie, ask them. These are put forward and based on demonstrated need, which was documented in the application. There was last week, or perhaps the week before, an FCC decision rendered pursuant or relevant to small cells and really facilitating the way for their widespread build-out across America. I think the FCC has affirmed that there's a national interest to promulgate and support the build-out of a 5G network. Some might argue it limits municipalities' ability to review these. It certainly doesn't. Certainly we review them, and if there's, certainly doesn't fit with the character of a neighborhood, or there's perhaps over build out, I think a municipality can use its local land use power to have some oversight. That said, the FCC has also made it clear that they want municipalities to deal with these resolutions or applications, not necessarily expediently, but they don't want municipalities stalling. And we're going to look, because I think there's more in the pipeline, as the cell companies are interested in communities like Arundequoit. There are more in the pipeline. We're going to look to perhaps, I don't want to say streamline this, because I don't want to imply that we're not going to provide adequate review, but this was somewhat, I don't want to say redundant, but did involve multi-board review, and it was a lot of paperwork. And certainly we're mindful of the amount of staff time these take as well. And we will look to streamline this in the future, but I do thank the representatives from Verizon for a great deal of information and availing themselves to answer questions. I appreciate that. Any questions for Carrie on these as a whole? We can take them as a whole, because the resolutions, if you have about specific locations, you can ask them either now or when they come up. But feel free to ask questions or.
Just a quick clarification that was helpful. Ms. Ivers, when I asked the question during workshop about why we weren't using existing utility poles, you gave me a very clear and defined answer. So maybe if you could share that.
The couple things, the existing poles, they need to be replaced so they can achieve they need a slightly higher height, and for that reason, and it's also to make sure that there's enough clearance for existing other utilities that are on those RG&E poles. There are safety requirements that have to be met, and so this is to allow the equipment to be able to fit. And so then the locations were selected by the telecommunications company based on that the demand, the modeling showing that what would work best, and each of them also had a structural analysis to know what would work and what would not in terms of what needs to be carried on each individual pole.
Thank you for sharing.
All right, any questions or comments on the resolution in chief? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 4, on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 1862 Hudson Avenue.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second. Any questions or comments on this location? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2523 St. Paul Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2523 St. Paul Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2924 St. Paul Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Number 8, on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2924 St. Paul Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 9 regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2101 Seneca Avenue.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second? I'll wait a little bit to call the roll to give our clerk a little breather. We're about halfway through.
I'm on a roll
Do you have
now.
water? Okay, you're in the zone. Okay. Okay. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10 on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 2101 Seneca Avenue.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 11 regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 184 Thorndike Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 184 Thorndike Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 13 regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 180 Wimbledon Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 14 on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 180 Wimbledon Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15 regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance regarding a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 11 Daly Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, on the matter of granting a special use permit to co-locate and operate a microcell wireless telecommunications facility in the R1 Residential District, 11 Daly Boulevard.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
I actually just want to make a comment on this one because a homeowner reached out. The pole in question here, as proposed, is on St. Paul Boulevard. It is not on Daly Boulevard. It is in front of Daly Boulevard, but it's an existing pole on St. Paul Boulevard. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolutions are adopted. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Item number 17.
On a roll.
On a roll here. Authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement for Monroe County Snow and Ice Control Services for 2018-2019 season.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Commissioner Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As this board is aware, the town clears snow and ice from county roads throughout the town of Arundecoit. That contract between the town and the county expired on September 30th, 2018. This resolution would authorize the town supervisor to execute the agreement between Monroe County for snow and ice services on the county roads throughout the town of Arundecoit.
And it's a 5-year term, Bob?
That is correct, sir, which would be annually brought before this board.
Any questions or comments for the commissioner? If you are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement for New York State Snow and Ice for 2018-2019.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Similar to the previous resolution, the town also does snow and ice operations on behalf of New York State DOT. and that would be on Empire Boulevard. And the resolution before the town board would allow that would allow the town to execute the intermunicipal agreement with New York State DOT to clear snow and ice from Empire Boulevard.
Any questions or comments for the commission? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we're on table number 19 regarding Tree City USA, and move on to number 20.
Item number 20, authorizing the calling for a public hearing to transfer surplus fire insurance recovery funds from the drainage fund balance to CIP account 314, the DPW Operations Center.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Commissioner Kylie, an explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before the town board this evening would call a public hearing to be held on November 20th, 2018. That would be next town board meeting coming up in November. The purpose of that public hearing would be to transfer funds from the storm sewer drainage account. This would be excess fire surplus insurance proceed dollars that would be used at the construction of the new highway department. So the purpose of the public hearing would be to transfer funds from the storm special district to capital improvement project 314.
And this calls a public hearing for our next regular town board meeting. So Bob, this is proceeds from the insurance claim, correct?
Excess proceeds from the insurance claim, yes,
That
sir.
is then transferred into the capital improvement program account relative to the construction of the highway facility?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If you are in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 21, calling for a public hearing to transfer funds from the sanitary fund balance to CIP account 314, the DPW Operations Center.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner, explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Similar to the aforementioned resolution regarding the storm sewer, this resolution would also transfer funds from the sanitary sewer special district to capital improvement project 314, the purpose for which would be for the construction of the new highway department. The sanitary sewer has a robust fund balance, and with approximately 35% of our employees being funded out of the sanitary sewer special district, we found it prudent to utilize surplus funds, reserve funds that we have to put approximately 35% of the cost of the personnel center at the new highway department. The two departments, of course, the Department of Public Work is a large-ranging department which has divisions of sanitation, storm, highway, etc. And this would be to call that public hearing to move those funds pursuant to general municipal law to move those funds from the sanitation fund balance to the capital improvement project 314.
Thanks, Bob. So, as we've discussed the financing of the DPW facility, certainly, there was a considerable amount that we received from the insurance claim, but not even probably a quarter of the overall facility. Thus, we have authorized debt financing through the sale of bonds. We have some state grants as well. We also felt it appropriate to use reserve funds. I think this is why we have reserve funds, and I think they're best used for capital one-time cost. I will note that the state comptroller has guidelines of how much of the fund, in this case the sanitary fund, your fund balance should represent. This will, I think, put us between 15 and 20%, Annie, around there, which the guideline is 5 to 20%. So generally, and the good thing about the sanitary fund is we do build that up year to year. So my hope is, even as we go into next year, that fund will be replenished. But this is less we have to borrow and more that we can use that we've reserved, so I think it's appropriate. And this, again, we'll call a public hearing for next month, as this is a required, I think, because it's a special district. Okay, gotcha.
The prior one.
Thank you.
Because they're both special improvement districts.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 22, authorizing the transfer of surplus fire insurance recovery funds balance from general fund balance to CIP account 314, the DPW Operations Center.
Motion? And a second? Thank you. Mr. Kylie, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would transfer the excess fire funds that the town recovered through our insurance company from the general fund account to Capital Improvement Project 314 for the construction of the new highway department.
Thank you, and I believe this is in the amount of $166,000.
$166,231.93.
Thank you. And this is similar to not the previous resolution, but the one before, whereas this is proceeds from the insurance claim that we are taking, that went to general fund, and now in excess they're being transferred to the CIP account relevant to the DPW facility. This one does not require a public hearing because it is not a special district, it is general fund, correct?
Correct.
Wow, I could almost be a town attorney. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 23, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to the acquisition of property located at 2619 East Ridge Road.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second?
Thank you. The next two, this resolution and the next are relevant to the same proposed action. With that, I'm going to let Commissioner Kylie explain both, and then we'll take the second one up afterwards.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So the first resolution is with regards to the State Environmental Quality Review for the purchase and demolition of a structure near the construction of the future Highway Department at 2629 East Ridge Road. 2629 East Ridge Road is the address of the new Highway Department, which is really an access roadway near the facility to access the facility, which is located well to the south near the interchange of 590 and 104. The roadway is narrow at its approach to East Ridge with a vacant green house to the west and the Rochester Bay Knoll Church to the east. The benefits to acquire the property, which is part of the consideration within both the State Environmental Quality Review, the first resolution, and the second resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the purchase agreement to acquire the property located at 2619 East Ridge Road. The benefits to acquire the property are well laid out within the town's construction manager, Krista Construction's memorandum to the town board. But to quickly summarize the conclusions that Krista drew, the acquisition and demolition of the structures would allow for a more open approach to East Ridge Road. The existing utility poles and guide rail located along the south side of East Ridge at this location would allow for an easier view for heavy highway truck traffic exiting and turning left onto East Ridge Road. Further, it would eliminate the shared access of a private structure, private development, private home on a generally municipal road in nature, being that the municipalities utilizing that access roadway would be the Town Department of Public Works, State DOT, and Monroe County. Prior to the execution of any purchase agreement with the town, or with the property owner, the town needed to complete the State Environmental Quality Review for the acquisition with the intent to demolish. The town reviewed this action independent of the full seeker for the DPW, but kept in mind that the greater project occurring further to the south. The structure sits on a property of 0.6 acres of land and has been unoccupied for approximately 4 years. Due to the age of the structure, the town sought to review the historic eligibility of the structures that sit on the property, and as a result, conducted a Phase 1 cultural resource investigation on the property. With the State Historic Preservation Office confirming that there are no significant cultural artifacts on site and the structures are not eligible within the historic register, the town concludes that the acquisition with intent to demolish will not create a significant adverse impact to the environment, and thus a negative declaration should be filed. That's really the first resolution. If you'd like, I could stop there. We can go to the second one, or I could just go right through.
We can, why don't you go over just the details of the purchase agreement? And we'll
So,
both up.
similar to the acquisition of the roadway itself, this board will remember that the town sought a private vendor to give a fair market valuation for the roadway, itself. So the town purchased that roadway from the county of Monroe. We contracted with Bruckner Tillett, Rosie Cahill and Associates, and similar to how we acquired the roadway, we also contracted with Buckner Tillett, Rosie Cahill and Associates to provide a fair market evaluation for the property at 2619 East Ridge Road. That purchase agreement was drawn up with that fair market valuation within it, and that is what the second resolution holds forth and puts forth to the town board this evening to pass or to pass judgment on, would be to execute that purchase agreement in the amount of the fair market valuation for the property.
Thanks, Bob. And so on the seeker, I'll just note, as a supplement to the EAF that was attached to the first resolution, board members were also furnished a letter that Bob referenced from SHPO relevant to the archaeological and historic significance. Thank you for your work on this, Bob, and Laura and Carrie and whoever else. I'll permit any questions we might have on the first resolution, which relates to seeker. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, authorizing the supervisor to execute a purchase agreement for the acquisition of real property located at 2619 East Ridge Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I just wanted to make a quick comment as a point of order to let it be known that I have no relationship whatsoever to the current owner of this property. Thank you.
A lot of Romeos in Arundecoit. So once again, this would authorize me to enter into a purchase agreement for the property, which anyone who drives by that location knows. And I know we had an in-depth analysis from Krista, but it's just clear that it makes the most sense for us to have access and to widen that entrance area a little bit for our workers' safety and for the safety of our residents. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 25, authorizing the 2019 special events calendar.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Sinton, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As you are fond of telling people where we are a town that both celebrates and honors, and with that in mind, what you have before you is a listing of all the special events and celebrations for 2019.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 26, establishing the 2019 holiday schedule for all Town of Arundecoit employees.
Motion. Moved. In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Vanette, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Welcome.
As stated, this is the holiday schedule for 2019. There are no surprises, and it's consistent with our policies of the town.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 27, authorizing the appointment of a police sergeant in the Arundecoit Police Department.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Vanette, explanation, or Chief, or whoever wants it first.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is to fill a vacancy within the sergeant's ranks of the Arundecoit Police Department. We'll be working from a eligibility list with Monroe County Civil Service for that position. We had established an interview panel, and candidates were interviewed by the members of that interview panel. The recommendation from that group of individuals is that we move forward with the promotion of Jason Hughes to the rank of police sergeant. Officer Hughes has an exceptional work record and ethic. He's been in law enforcement for 15 years and has been a member of the Arundecoit Police Department for 11 years. He's a highly decorated police officer, and his resume and personnel folder contain many positive comments about his performance in critical incidents, as well as an FTO and firearms instructor for our agency, and we recommend this promotion for that officer.
Thank you. Mr. Vanette, anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Very happy to advance this. I've worked with Officer Hughes, soon-to-be Sergeant Hughes, throughout my tenure. He's, I think, a leader in the department, and happy to advance him in the leadership of the department. Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 28, authorizing an appointment to the Deer Management Program Board.
Motion and a second. Thank you. As you know, pursuant to our local deer management our local bow hunt regulation, which was adopted via local law 5, I believe, of 2017, we created a deer management program board, which contains a three-panel board, which includes the supervisor or his or her appointee, the chair of the town conservation board, as well as a resident who the board appoints. This board has a direct role in administering the program as it handles appeals to decisions made by the police department as a agent of the town in administering the program. In this instance, I'm advancing that we reappoint Marcy Tiberio to the Deer Management Program Board and thank her for her service. We really do appreciate it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Authorizing the appointment of a Director of Developmental Services at the Town of Arundecoit.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Last but not least, we were recently informed of our current Director of Development Services, Lauren Kelly, her taking a position in the private sector. Lauren served really since the beginning of my tenure as a town board member, town supervisor, and was a key member of our team here at Town Hall, and we thank her for her services. The decision to replace Lauren was actually, for me to recommend to the board, a relatively easy one because I couldn't think of anyone better than Carrie Ivers to serve as our Director of Development Services, as proved tonight, as Carrie helped shepherd a rather confusing, cumbersome, nuanced application that really, if it fell on me to administer, it would probably be a little bit more chaotic. But Carrie, just a little biography, she's had extensive experience in the private sector, is very highly regarded, and she has, I don't say a reputation, but if you go around and mention to whether it's engineering firms or design firms Carrie's name, they know who she is, and she's very highly respected. She's a self-proclaimed planning geek or nerd, but she has been instrumental. And I'll say, when Supervisor Bella was elected and I came along with him, I think one of the first members we brought to the team at Town Hall was Carrie as a planning and zoning administrator. Right there, she, that year, I think, took it upon herself to quarterback the updating of our comprehensive plan. She was the steward of our active transportation plan. I think the library board borrowed her to do a long-term plan, long-range plan. But in addition to planning, she's been instrumental in how we've handled nuisance properties, vacant properties, all economic development. I think anyone around Town Hall realizes she is an encyclopedia of knowledge and will do a great job leading the department in the future. So I'm very happy to recommend this to the board. Any questions or comments?
Congratulations.
Lucky to have you.
Well deserved.
Congratulations.
We got to vote,
Thank
guys.
you.
We got to vote.
Yeah, let's vote. After we vote.
Potentially, congratulations.
I'll do a slow roll call. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Congratulations, Carrie. You have to stand up. And with that, this concludes our body of work for this regular town board meeting. Our next workshop meeting is Tuesday, November 13th, 2018 at 4 o'clock p.m. Next regular town board meeting is Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 at 7 p.m. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access. We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Irondequoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access.